The theater went quiet in a way that felt wrong, like the calm before something nobody was ready for, and for a split second even the cameras on Britain's Got Talent seemed unsure where to point, because no one in that room could have predicted what was about to happen next, and if you were watching this audition live or even catching the clip later on your phone in the middle of the night, you probably felt that same chill run down your spine, that same thought whisper in your head asking, wait, did that really just happen? Because this wasn't supposed to be one of those moments, not one of those history-making, goosebump-inducing moments that people talk about years later, and yet, somehow, it became exactly that. It started like 100 other auditions we've all seen before, with a performer walking onto the stage carrying more hope than confidence, smiling just a little too hard, the kind of smile that says, I've been rejected before, but please don't let today be another one. And when the name Haribow flashed on the screen, most viewers didn't jump out of their seats or text their friends in excitement, because this wasn't a celebrity entrance or a viral TikTok star reveal, it was just another person chasing a dream under blinding lights. But here is the part that truly broke the internet later on, because in that quiet beginning, in those first few seconds, the seeds of one of the most controversial and emotional moments in BGT history were already being planted. Haribow didn't come from a background wrapped in glitter or privilege. His story, which only fully surfaced after the audition went viral, reads like something out of a movie that Hollywood would call too unrealistic if it weren't real. Growing up, music wasn't a luxury, it was an escape, a way to drown out the noise of a life that constantly reminded him of what he didn't have. He played wherever people would listen, on streets where applause was rare and criticism came free, learning early that sometimes the audience doesn't care how hard you've worked, only how fast you can grab their attention. And that matters, because when you understand where he came from, you realize why this audition meant more than a TV moment. This was rent money, dignity, years of being ignored, all rolled into 3 minutes on a stage where one wrong note could send him back to square one. When Haribow began his performance, it didn't explode right away. It crept in slowly, almost politely, like a secret it wasn't sure it should tell yet. The judges watched carefully, some leaning forward, others tilting their heads, and if you've seen enough talent shows, you know that body language, the subtle difference between, I'm interested, and, convince me. The audience, at first, was supportive but cautious, clapping in the right places, nodding along, not yet ready to give their hearts away. And that's important, because what happened later only hit as hard as it did because of this slow build, because nobody expected the audience to become the main character of this story. Halfway through the performance, something shifted in the room, that invisible line between polite appreciation and genuine emotion was crossed, and you could feel it in the way the crowd leaned forward together, like one shared breath being held. Haribow wasn't just performing anymore, he was confessing, pouring years of frustration and quiet hope into every note, and suddenly the applause wasn't just loud, it was urgent, like the audience was trying to tell him, we see you now. Have you ever watched someone chase a dream so openly that it makes you uncomfortable because it reminds you of your own? That's the feeling people described later in comments. The reason this audition didn't just trend, it sparked arguments. Because here's where things took their first shocking turn. Before the judges could even exchange glances or whisper to each other, the audience started reacting in a way that broke the usual script of the show. The cheering grew louder, the clapping more frantic, and then something happened that no one, not the producers, not the judges, not even Haribow himself, seemed ready for. The golden buzzer, that sacred symbol usually reserved for judges or hosts, suddenly became the center of attention in a way we'd never seen before, and the crowd's energy shifted from support to demand. They weren't asking anymore, they were insisting. Social media would later describe this moment as electric, chaotic, and historic all at once. Clips of audience members on their feet, screaming and pointing, spread across TikTok within minutes, with captions like, "The crowd stole the show," and "This is why live TV is unmatched." On Twitter, fans were already picking sides before the audition even ended, some calling it the purest moment in BGT history, others warning that something felt off, that the rules were being bent in a dangerous way. And on Reddit, long threads popped up analyzing every second, every facial expression, every producer cut, asking the same question over and over, was this magic, or manipulation? But back in the theater, none of that online noise existed yet. There was only Haribow, standing under the lights, eyes wide, clearly realizing that something bigger than his performance was unfolding, and the judges, caught in a moment they couldn't fully control. The applause didn't stop when the music did. It swelled, rolling through the room like a wave that refused to crash, and in that noise, the unthinkable happened. The audience, yes the audience, effectively gave Haribow a golden buzzer moment, skipping the traditional process and forcing everyone to reckon with what they were witnessing in real time. If you felt confused watching this, you weren't alone. Even seasoned BGT fans admitted they had never seen anything like it. Some viewers cried, others laughed in disbelief, and many just sat there staring at their screens, asking themselves, is this allowed? And that question became the fuel for a full-blown online war. On TikTok, emotional reaction videos flooded feeds, people filming themselves sobbing, saying Haribow reminded them of their parents, the younger selves, their own unfulfilled dreams. Others stitched those videos with eye rolls and captions reading, "Talent show sympathy strikes again," accusing the moment of being more about emotion than ability. This is the point in the story where I want to pause and ask you something real, something personal. Have you ever felt like the room decided your worth before you even finished speaking? Because that's what this moment represented to millions of viewers, a crowd deciding, together, that this person mattered, rules be damned. And right here, in the middle of all that emotion, let me say this, if stories like this, raw, messy, and unforgettable, are the kind of moments you don't want to miss, make sure you're subscribed to Talent Zone updates and turn on notifications, because what comes next in this story is where everything changes, and trust me, you'll want to be here for it. The aftermath of the audition didn't cool things down, it poured gasoline on the fire. Interviews surfaced where Haribow spoke about how he barely slept the night before, how he almost didn't show up, how he'd been told, no, so many times that he stopped expecting anything else. Fans latched onto these details like proof that the audience's reaction wasn't random, that it was destiny stepping in where judges couldn't. But critics weren't convinced. They pointed out the editing, the camera angles, the way the crowd noise swelled at just the right moments, arguing that television has a way of guiding emotions without us realizing it. Then came the second layer of shock. Reports began circulating that some judges were uncomfortable, that backstage conversations were tense, that producers hadn't planned for an audience-driven golden buzzer moment. Whether all of that is true or not almost doesn't matter, because the perception alone was enough to divide the fandom. Twitter threads accused the show of losing control, while others praised it for letting something authentic break through the usual format. This is why we watch live auditions, one viral tweet read, because humans are unpredictable. Another shot back, or because producers know exactly how to play us. As the days went on, Haribow's follow count skyrocketed, his name trending in countries far beyond the UK, especially here in the US, where talent show culture is practically a sport. American viewers weighed in with their own takes, comparing the moment to controversial golden buzzers on America's Got Talent, debating whether emotion should ever outweigh technique, and whether the crowd's voice should matter more than expert judgment. And through it all, Haribow stayed mostly quiet, posting simple thank you messages, reminding people that he was still the same person who walked onto that stage hoping for a chance. But here is where the story takes its darkest and most surprising turn, the layer nobody expected and the reason this moment still stings. As the hype grew, so did the backlash, and not just online. Stories emerged about increased pressure, about Haribow feeling like he now had to live up to a moment that wasn't fully his own, about the fear of becoming that guy who got the crowd golden buzzer, instead of an artist judged on his work. Fans who once cheered began to worry, asking if the show had accidentally set him up for failure by raising expectations too high, too fast. And then came the final reveal, the one that reframed everything. In a later interview, Haribow admitted that while the moment felt like a miracle, it also terrified him, because for the first time, he realized how quickly love can turn into scrutiny, how a single performance can define you in ways you never asked for. The golden buzzer, even one powered by pure audience emotion, isn't just a gift, it's a spotlight that burns as much as it shines. And that's the part most people missed while arguing online, the human cost of viral fame, the weight of being lifted up by millions of strangers who may just as quickly move on. So now I want to turn the question back to you, because this story doesn't end on that stage, it ends with us. Was the audience right to take control and give Haribow their version of a golden buzzer, or did the show cross a line that can't be uncrossed? Is raw emotion the purest judge of talent, or do rules exist for a reason? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this debate isn't over, and knowing how you feel might just shape the next unforgettable moment we all can't stop talking about.